Hey everyone! Today, we're going to talk about something that can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. Applying for Social Security disability benefits right here in Virginia. Look, if you can't work because of an illness or an injury, getting that application approved is an absolute lifeline. But here's the thing, the path to getting that yes is really narrow. So we're going to break down exactly how you can build a credible, super consistent case that actually gets you the results you need.
All right, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off and look at the reality in Virginia. A whopping 65% of initial Social Security disability applications, they get denied. Yeah, you heard that right. That means almost 2 out of every 3 people are told no right out of the gate. It's a tough number to hear for sure, but you know what? Facing that challenge head-on is the very first step to beating the odds. So the big question is, how do you make sure you're in that 35% that gets approved? Well, it all boils down to one single powerful word: credibility. The Social Security Administration, the SSA, they need to see a story that is clear, consistent, and just plain believable. It's not enough to just have a diagnosis. You've got to prove it with a story that all hangs together. Okay, to really get why credibility is the name of the game, you've got to understand how the SSA actually looks at your case. They're not just going to glance at a doctor's note and call it a day. No way. Think of them as detectives. They are meticulous, and they are going to scrutinize every single piece of paper you give them, all for one reason. They're hunting for consistency. And this is the playbook they use. It's their official 5-step evaluation. And trust me, at every single step, from "are you working" to "can you do any other kind of job," the person reviewing your case is playing detective. They're comparing your medical records, what you've written, and your work history. And any little contradiction, that's a huge red flag that can put your whole claim in jeopardy.
All right, let's get into it. Tip number 1 is all about unifying your medical records. Think of this as the absolute foundation of your entire case. Everything else you build rests right on top of this, so it has to be rock solid.
So what the SSA is looking for is a story that unfolds over time. We're talking at least 24 months of medical history. They want to see the whole journey: the first diagnosis, the specialist reports, the regular follow-ups, and, this is super important, how your condition and even the side effects from your meds are limiting you right now. And get this, a shocking 25% of rejections happen because of little inconsistencies in those records. You know, like one doctor says your symptoms are mild, but another says they're severe. That's a credibility killer.
Okay, so you've got your medical records lined up, but that's only part of the puzzle. Now we get to tip 2, aligning your story. It's not just what the doctors write down that matters, it's what you say too. The story you tell on your forms, in any interviews, it has to perfectly match the evidence in those medical files.
And please don't sleep on this point. It is huge. A full 20% of denials are because someone's personal statement just doesn't line up with their medical evidence. I mean, think about it. If you say you're in excruciating pain every day, but your doctor's notes don't mention it, that's going to look really suspicious to the person reviewing your case.
Right. So your words need to be the backup singers for your medical evidence, not singing a totally different tune. The question is, how do you actually do that? How do you make sure your story is aligned without just sounding like you're reading from your own chart?
Well, here's the secret sauce. It's all about being specific versus being vague. Look, anyone can write, "I have severe fatigue," but that doesn't really mean anything. The magic happens when you connect your experience directly to the evidence. You say something like, "As my doctor noted, the fatigue from my medication means I can only stand for about 10 minutes, and then I have to go rest for 2 or 3 hours a day." See the difference? You've just aligned your personal experience with the medical facts, and boom, that's a powerful, credible statement.
Next up, tip 3. This one is all about showing consistent treatment. Think of it like this: a strong case has momentum. It's not just about a diagnosis you got 2 years ago. It's about showing that you are actively and consistently trying to manage your condition. Any big gaps in that story? Well, that's where the doubts start to creep in.
And check this out. The single biggest reason for a credibility-based denial is right here: gaps in treatment. We're talking 30% of these denials. And you have to ask, why? Well, put yourself in the SSA's shoes. If you're not seeing a doctor regularly, their first thought is going to be, maybe their condition isn't as severe as they're saying it is.
Now, look, we all know that keeping up with consistent care can be tough. It really can, especially if you're in a rural part of Virginia or if money is tight. But the good news is there are resources out there. Things like Virginia's Medicaid expansion, free clinics, and even telehealth. These are all tools you can use to keep that record of care going. And that unbroken record, it is absolutely vital for your application.
Okay, let's bring it home with our last 2 tips, which are really all about the details, mastering your forms and how you talk to your doctor. You've done all this hard work, building a foundation of credible evidence. Now you've got to present it perfectly, and that means accuracy and clarity are totally non-negotiable.
So here's your action plan. First, double and triple check every single date on those forms. Next, when you talk to your doctor, ask them to be super specific. Not just back pain, but cannot lift anything over 5 pounds. You can even give them the official SSA forms, like the RFC form, to make it easier for them. And finally, make sure your old job descriptions are totally accurate. Seriously, these little details matter so much. One mistake can undo all of your hard work.
All right, so you've built this awesome, credible case. Now you have to play defense. You've got to protect it, because a simple little mistake can be just as damaging as a huge gap in your treatment record. It really is about being just as careful and meticulous as the people who are going to be reviewing your file. So let's do a quick final checklist of what to avoid. Ready? Incomplete medical records, exaggerating your symptoms, gaps in your medical treatment, incorrect dates or work history, and vague descriptions of what you can't do. Think of each one of those as a potential crack in the foundation of your credibility. You know, when it's all said and done, it really comes down to this. A winning application is not just a stack of documents. It's a single, powerful story. It's a story where every single piece, your records, your forms, your own words, lines up perfectly to paint a crystal clear picture of what you're going through. So I want to leave you with just one question to really think about. Take a hard look at all the different pieces of your own application. Are they all working together? Are they telling one clear, consistent, and credible story? Because at the end of the day, that story is your absolute best shot at getting the benefits you need and deserve.